Hey, welcome everybody to our first 10 on 1. Today it's awesome. We've got David Hobart, design principal, McCarthy Nordburg. We've been working with them for almost 30 years. And David and I have done a lot of projects over the years. Today, our topic is post-COVID design changes. And I brought David in because this is all he does. This is all he's been looking at for the last 24 months. So David, what do you think are the top 3 changes that you're seeing from your clients since COVID? It's kind of tapering now. Here we are in early June 2022.
Well, there's really been, quite a bit of change. And when we talk about design in the workplace, it's not necessarily just the design and the aesthetics, but there's 3 main things that we talk about with our clients, and those are operations, architecture, and aesthetics. And those 3 topics make up a lot of the changes that we're seeing in workplace design. And so by operations, it's really more on the company and employer side. How do you want to manage workplace flows? For example, hybrid. What does hybrid work mean for your organization? People in the office part-time, people at home part-time, and whatnot, because that influences how the office is used, which is architecture, the next component. And really the key here is flexibility. And so we're seeing that, when COVID first happened, everybody went home and there were discussions that, oh, we don't even need an office, or it'll be really small. And what we've discovered is that's really not the case, because the office, that physical space, defines culture in a lot of organizations. And culture is hugely important to keeping an organization going and keeping employees. So you lose a lot of culture, you lose a lot of camaraderie when you take people and put them at home. So what we're finding is it's a balance, and employees like that hybrid, companies like it. Why do they like it? Because it allows them to still have a physical presence, but to reduce, and this isn't great for real estate, but it's the truth, reduce the square footage that they need. So, pre-COVID, we had these huge, 100,000+ square foot call centers, service centers, and that's really reducing quite a bit. And what we're finding is a lot of functions can be done at home, but people still need to come into the office to collaborate, to brainstorm, to see their peers. And that's where we're getting this hybrid workforce from.
And how does that affect the aesthetics, the third piece of all this?
Well, really the aesthetics, people spent so much time at home in a home office and the comforts of residential. And so what we're seeing is this huge push of hospitality and residential into the workplace. And that comes in from furniture, through finishes, through lighting. I mean, a lot of the commercial furniture that we're looking at is now, blurred with hospitality and residential, and bringing in a lot of that aspect. The same thing with finishes. There was always standard types of tiles and wall coverings and carpets that were used in office. Now we're seeing so much residential and hospitality influence. People want to have that comfort like they had at home for 2 years in the office. They find comfort in that. And so we're seeing a lot of influence of that into the workplace.
So I've got a couple of key notes here. Physical space defines culture. It's a key takeaway for me. Describe that a little bit more, as you will, what you hear from your clients on that.
Yeah. So when we think of physical space, and you think about the culture of your organization, that revolves around collaboration areas. It revolves around meeting with people and chatting with them at the water cooler, in the lounge, the coffee bar. You take that away in that inner space that defines interaction, you're taking away a lot of the culture, as well as in a lot of the great, offices that we design. Branding and graphics are a huge component of that, and that reinforces the mission. What is the mission of this company? You see so much of that in the workplace, and when people are removed from that, they often forget why they're part of the organization and what they contribute to it.
It's a great point. You also mentioned the second takeaway is hybrid space. Define that for us and tie that into my third point, which is an ultimate reduction in space. What kind of percentages are you seeing? So hybrid, what it means, and then what kind of reductions are you seeing?
So the hybrid, it starts with the operational of part-time at home, part-time in the office. And so how that translates to office space is we're seeing a lot of unassigned workspace. So nobody has an assigned office because you might share it with somebody else. So we still have offices. The quantity is reduced, but that is not your assigned workspace. So you may get it 2 days a week and you're at home 3 days, and then you're flipping with somebody else and you share that space. That's the hybrid. Or there's some situations where people do their work in their home office, but they only come into the physical office for meetings, collaboration, and teaming type activities.
So this is, it's a trend that's been happening, but it's fairly new. And are you getting good feedback? Are you hearing that it works? Or are you hearing, I'm not sure this is going to be a long-term trend?
It really depends on the market sector. So, if you think about law firms, for example, no, it doesn't work there. They are still in the office. They've always been in the office. Their aesthetics have softened up and they're getting more of that hospitality in law firms. That's kind of one extreme. The other is a lot of what, our tech companies, I hate the word call center, we call it service center, but those kind of atmospheres, yes, people like to come in and see their peers and meet with them, but they like to do their heads down focused work at home. And so it is working very well for them to have that hybrid model.
Cool. Last question, reduce square footage as a percentage. If you can give me a rough, what are you seeing people as they renew, what are they reducing their square footage?
I think on the high side, it's probably a reduction of maybe 25% in square footage. We've had some go down as much as 50% reduction in square footage. And it's really, where we may had 30 offices, now we have 6 unassigned offices and people share them. The one thing you do see, because people are doing their heads down work at home, the amount of conferencing, huddle, video conferencing, and collaboration spaces has increased more than pre-COVID. So we're seeing that change, but the net square footage reduction, I would say the average is anywhere between 25 to 50%.
Wow, it's a big number, huge number.
It's a big number.
Big number.
But and I'm going to jump into the aesthetic thing one more because it's really important, is that companies are spending more on aesthetics than we were pre-COVID. They're spending more on furniture, more on finishes, because they want, even though the space is smaller, they want it to be that much more special for when people come in. And it attracts people to come in. Oh, wow, look at, they're doing this cool space. They're doing a renovation while we were at home in COVID. I want to go back in and see it. They're understanding that's worth the money because it defines culture. And without culture, you have no company. And so we're going to spend the money on design.
David, 10 minutes of jam-packed information. David Hobart, design principal, McCarthy Nordburg. Thanks a ton.
Thank you.